I love replaying that moment when I finally beat Super Star Soldier after, well, decades. As a kid, Super Star Soldier was always a favorite of mine. So imagine my surprise when I found out that the very next game in the series hit the Japanese PC Engine and never even made it to America. That game was Final Soldier. Final Soldier is an overhead shooter. Surprised? Anyone familiar with this series will feel right at home. The mechanics and gameplay are very typical, and there are few surprises as you take control of your spacecraft, warp into the future zone, and stop an alien race from conquering Earth. You got 7 stages, you got mini-bosses, you got end bosses, and you got stuff blowing up. Oh yeah. Holding down button 2 continuously fires, and grabbing capsules increase your ship's power. V for Vulcan, E for E-beam, L for laser, and F for fire. You can also utilize missiles and option pod things that stay by your side or zoom off to do some major damage. Yeah, they can swirl around the ship, often taking out an entire mid-boss with one swish. While most of the weapons fully powered up are awesome, I found the simple Vulcan with missiles can literally dominate most levels. Of course, snagging power-ups and having them increase with subsequent pickups are nothing new. But one thing that is different here is the option at game start to set up how the weapons perform. That is, aside from the Vulcan, which gets nicely left out. Don't care for little green spirals? Try some big ones. Not a fan of the fire blaster? How about a flamethrower? You can also change the way that the missiles behave. This customization is a wonderful touch to the game, allowing you to adjust shots based on personal preference. After all lives are lost, you can return to this screen before continuing to change things up if you wish. The enemies are unique and attack in many different ways. The mid-bosses are cool, but are almost a pushover with a fully powered weapon. The end bosses are pretty varied and tend to split off into multiple attacks, although they don't seem as imposing as in Super Star Soldier. And, what else can I say? Each zone has a beginning, middle, and ending, as you then fly off to tackle the next one. If you're not interested in the main quest, Final Soldier has a 2-minute and 5-minute one-player game where you try and score as many points as possible. As usual, there are bonuses available and many enemies to destroy. These are cute little diversions where you can attempt to score more points than your buds. Unless your friends are pretty jacked, then maybe you should let them win. Yeah. The graphics in the first stage feel like typical space shooter. In the second stage, the background changes and it's nice, but honestly, I was hoping for a little bit more. In fact, the entire game seems a tad scaled down in the graphics department. That is, until you hit the later levels when things become a bit more wacky and impressive. Don't get me wrong, it still looks good and the level of detail is fine, but I always found its particular style to be less impressive than the installment which came before. The series is known for awesome music, and for the most part, this one doesn't disappoint. I wouldn't say the tracks are as varied or lengthy, but they are pretty fast and fun and make this shooter seem to move at a frantic pace. Minor sound effects and random voice samples work pretty well.
Alien approach.
Oh boy, look out. Once again, they knocked the controls out of the park. The ship is very easy to maneuver around, and it reacts quickly to your directional pad movement. You can juggle options extremely easily, and dropping some destructive bombs is as simple as a quick button press. You can also adjust the ship's speed to your liking as you take off to blow stuff up. After sustaining an excruciating and painful death, you will automatically regenerate at the same spot. This removes the strategy of collecting flashing crystals found in other similar shooters. As a result, the strategy factor here feels a bit loose. Not only is the strategy dialed down, but Final Soldier also seems to have decreased its difficulty. On my first play, fully powered up without any knowledge of the game, I almost made it all the way through Stage 6 without continuing. That being said, Stage 6 does put up a fight. And Stage 7 is essentially a long boss fight and is also quite a challenge. It is very fulfilling defeating those final 2 stages. It requires strategy and intense dodging, and it feels more like the constant adrenaline rush of its predecessor. Too bad it took until these later stages to reach this level of intensity. Final Soldier is a really good game, but many people feel it is the weakest link in the Star Soldier PC Engine lineup. Maybe the problem is that after coming off of Super Star Soldier, this one feels like a walk in the park difficulty-wise, although you can make the game harder in the setup menu. Me, I enjoy this one. I mean, there is little to no slowdown, the game is extremely fast-paced, it still retains a lot of that PC Engine shooter charm, and the customization of the weapon system adds to its replay value. Not to mention, you get to blow shit up. If you are a fan of the Star Soldier series, then you really can't go wrong with Final Soldier. It has a lot of positives and is still a really good shoot 'em up. 3.5 PC Engines out of 5 for a pretty solid shooter in an overall really solid series.